Imagine mapping an entire empire before the internet existed. One man did it, at a time when history lived on stone. Long before Google, long before Wikipedia, he built the blueprint of Rome from nothing but ink and obsession. This is the story of Theodor Mommsen, the man who turned knowledge into power and history into immortality. He was born in 1817 in Garding, Denmark, a young mind drawn not to stories but to systems. Just a quiet kid obsessed with Latin texts and the ghosts of Rome. But here's the twist. Mommsen didn't just study the past, he revived it. While others were reading about emperors, he was decoding their laws, their systems, their politics. Ancient Rome wasn't history to him. It was a puzzle waiting to be rebuilt. He turned dusty scrolls into data, before data was even a word. In his 20s, he started a massive mission to rebuild the lost legal code of Rome, piece by piece. 1850s. He traveled across Europe, hunting for inscriptions carved into stone. Every symbol was a clue, every crack a whisper from the empire. He visits every archaeological site he can access, copies down every Roman inscription, tax records, legal decrees, tombstones, merchant receipts. Other scholars study famous emperors. Mommsen studies ordinary documents. Why? Because official histories lie. Emperors rewrote records. Historians had agendas. But tax records don't lie. Building permits don't lie. Tombstones don't lie. Mommsen's building a database of hard evidence. By the time others noticed, Mommsen had already reconstructed centuries of Roman law. It wasn't just archaeology, it was forensics of civilization. 1854 to 1856. Then came The History of Rome. 3 volumes, 1,500 plus pages. Not a textbook, a cinematic saga. Battles, betrayals, emperors, ambition. Mommsen wrote it all like a Netflix series before Netflix existed. Readers were hooked, historians were stunned, politicians were shaken. Because his history didn't just describe power, it questioned it. Mommsen wasn't the quiet type anymore. He debated, he criticized, he challenged corruption, openly. In a time when free speech was risky, he used intellect like a weapon. He became a voice that Germany listened to, a scholar who could silence politicians with a paragraph. His lectures? Standing room only. His energy? Pure electricity. 1880s. Mommsen's house catches fire. He's in his 60s, runs inside to save manuscripts, gets them out, barely survives. Those manuscripts? Decades of unpublished research, irreplaceable notes, work nobody else could recreate. He publishes them later. They're now standard references, because for Mommsen, words weren't ink, they were immortality. In 1902, history made history. For the first time, the Nobel Prize in Literature went to a historian, to Theodor Mommsen, not for fiction, not for poetry, but for turning real history into a living masterpiece. The man who once studied ancient laws became law himself in the world of literature. Mommsen didn't just preserve the past, he programmed it for the future. His catalog of Roman inscriptions, the Corpus Inscriptionum Latinarum, is still the base for digital databases today. Historians still use his code to understand civilizations. Every database of ancient Rome online, it traces back to him. He was doing open source history before GitHub. Even in his 80s, he kept writing. He lived until 1903, but his ideas never died. Theodor Mommsen proved something the world forgets. You don't need a crown to lead, you need a cause. He built empires with paragraphs. He made time his witness. He turned history into a weapon of truth. So next time you write, create, research, or post, remember, some words outlive empires. Be the one whose ideas never burn out. If stories like this ignite you, drop your thoughts below and keep building your own empire of ideas. This was Theodor Mommsen. This is Awards, where the world's greatest minds live forever. Don't just watch history, be inspired by it.
Thanks for being with Awards. Subscribe to know more about international award winners and unsung heroes behind peace, science, and humanity.